Hello and welcome to this week's Scarlets Fever podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, the miraculous, mysterious Catboy. How are we doing, Bat?
I'm very well, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm good. So tell me, how's your week been? Well, weekend. We had a bit of a late one last week, so it's only a
Yeah.
few days to cover.
Yeah. So very unlike me. I was out socializing on Saturday night.
No.
Normally, I'm sat at home watching all the rugby, but no, I was out spending time with other human beings, which I don't do very often. But yeah, had a nice time. Went around, had a bit of dinner, played a few games. So the lovely couple who hosted us are getting married, and one of the things that we did was they had the samples from the bakery for their wedding cake.
Oh, nice.
So we had 5 or 6 different samples and we had to help them choose the flavor for their wedding
Oh,
cake.
you're honored.
It was a big honor. It was a big honor. So I'm trying to remember what they had now. So they had, I think they had salt with caramel, they had chocolate, they had Victoria sponge, they had lemon, they had this one called cookie something, and they had Biscoff.
Fair
So
enough. Normal.
I have to say that the chocolate one wasn't very good. It was a bit underbaked.
Oh, no.
Um, but I don't think chocolate for a wedding cake for me. I don't know.
It depends on how many tiers you have for me. I like to spice it up. I like different things on all my layers.
I see. We didn't say that, but it's so the Biscoff and the cookie cream and the salted caramel one were all pretty much the same. So it came down to between the Victoria and the lemon cake,
Oh, that's a tough choice.
and I'm
It,
saying the Victoria sponge was nice, but it's Victoria sponge, and I'm not Victoria sponge for a wedding. I
If
don't
you have
know.
raspberry jam, it does kick it up a notch.
Well, that is true. That is true. It's I don't know. But we did say something because the couple are the lady's Turkish and the guy is Russian. But they're
Yeah.
getting married
Oh,
here.
whoa, whoa, whoa. How did you get involved in this now? Because this is taking a big turn.
Multicultural here in Leamington, May. Multicultural. Anyway, but they're getting married here. And so we said, look, you might not care about this, but it's very British to go, the lemon cake is the most sophisticated one. And other people thinking that you're sophisticated is very important in Britain,
England, no,
in
Wales,
England.
it is.
So we said, go for the lemon cake. I mean, in the end, we all decided that lemon had won. And for me, it was the best. I don't know. What did you have for yours?
Oh, Christ, I can't remember. Don't tell my wife that, honestly. But please. Knowing me, I would have had about 50 flavors. No, we had a simple, it was 2 tiers. I can't remember the flavor for the life of me. I'm not one of those people that keep a frozen piece in the freezer for the rest of my life. I demolished that cake, and I'm proud to say that I demolished it. So well, it's a nice breakthrough. I mean, we got some tough times ahead. So let's start a bit positive. Should we go through the community?
Let's do some community. Yes. Tell me how much the Dovers won by this week.
Well, the Drovers, they were up against it. They did travel to Neath, and obviously news last week. I think there was a lot of emotion going through Neath. So obviously Llander read down at the Knoll, and Neath took the lead. They
Oh my God.
started the game on fire, 7-0. Didn't last long, mind. 26-10 by half time, and then 47-10 by the end. So a full second half shutout for the Drovers. A couple of our boys in there, Morgan Jones, Kian Abraham, and Jack Davis, who had that excellent run out in Exeter. So Drovers marching on, and they're the first team to qualify for this year's playoffs. So what more can you ask?
Yeah,
And
yeah. Whenever I'm on the Pirate Rugby pod, we do rundown of all the club games, and we get to the Welsh Prem, and I'm like, Drovers won again. Moving on. Like
I
it's
mean,
just
one loss all season. I mean, obviously no games now this week because Wales Island week, as we will now
yes,
pronounce
yes,
it.
Island Week.
There's literally no games for us to talk about on this weekend coming in. But after that, it's the semi-finals of the cup, so very interesting times. The other game that we're obviously interested in is Carmarthen Quins, and I'm going to start off by saying we all hope and wish a speedy recovery to former Scarlet Osher Knott, who took a heavy bang in the first half and needed to be stretchered off. But outside of that, the game had quite a lot of our boys in there. Yes, think William, Lewis Morgan, and Lucas Sataro as normal, but they also had Carwyn Tuipulotu and Ben Williams in there.
That
So
was a surprise.
it was, but it was a surprise seeing Morgan Jones with the Drovers. So it seems as though there's been a lot of more conversation over
So
these last few weeks.
yeah, so obviously they've got the memorandum of understanding now, even though it's kind of been going on for ages. Um, but Quinn's put out a tweet saying thank you to all the clubs who loaned us players, and there was quite a few clubs in there as well as
Yeah.
Scarlets. Was there something happened, something up with the Quins?
I'm not sure. I mean, they tend to do that quite regularly. There was a few weeks ago when Crimmick turned up with 14 men and they had given a player to the Quins. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to get your head around, a Premiership club needing that much help from teams below them, from the Scarlets, 100%. On to the actual game with the Quins then, and like we just said, they had a pretty significant back row. That injury to Knott did take up a lot of time, and the first half was rather slow from everything that we can see, and it ended 0-0. So, not very often that we see a half ending 0-0. But as we go further down now in these lovely winter weathers, you're going to see another scoreline that just you don't see too often. But no, second half picked up. Swansea took the lead. They were going through 5-0 for a while. Quins finally hit back, took the lead 7-5, and it looked for all good money that the Titcombe effect, which is what we are now describing, whatever happens when the Quins win, was going to be destroyed. He was going to be walking around, not thinking, oh no, they don't need me to win anymore. But that wasn't the case. Swansea hit back pretty close to the death and they rounded out a 12-7 win. So another loss for the Quins, unfortunately. But they've got a couple of weeks now to try and build, and then hopefully they'll have their maestro back after the Six Nations,
Yeah.
and they've got quite a few tough games coming in there. And they've still got to do the double with the Rags, so that's going to be a fun one. We moved down into the Championship West now. We had a few boys on show. With Newcastle Emlyn, we had Harry Fuller. With Crimmick, we had Alfie Evans-Fetchy. And with Ammanford, Ollie Close picking up his second consecutive start of the season. As far as results go, Brecon won 31-22 at home to Ammanford. A hell of a performance from Ammanford from where they are to just keep up with Brecon is outstanding as far as I'm concerned. Crimmick lost 21-17 away to Meister Quins. I really didn't expect that. Crimmick have consistently been top half all year round, and it seems as though they've sort of peaked and on a bit of a downward slide at the minute. I'm hoping that picks up again soon. Then we have Newcastle Emlyn in the highest scoring game of the round, 3-0 over Estalavera. So
Get in.
that was absolutely outstanding. A win's a win, 0-0 at halftime, just as well.
Oh, it's better if that three was kicked in like the second minute and then it was 78 minutes.
I can't tell you when it was. I'll scroll through all their Twitters now and see if I can find it. I know it was the second half, so that's a shame for you. But the big one, top two of the top three, Llangennech at home to Narberth, and 12-3 up to Llangennech at halftime. And they're thinking they're going to do it. They're thinking they're going to beat Narberth. They're thinking they're going to have a proper run at second. But Narberth just keep clawing back. I do not know how they do it. They've done it a few weeks ago with Brecon, and they've done it again. They finished off 18-15 winners. So whoever this coaching team is with Narberth that we are yet to speak to, Lee G has promised he'd speak to them, but he hasn't got around to it. Whoever it is, they're doing something right, especially at half time. This is just some unbelievable stuff. We go down into One West then. Top of the table, Clechley Wanderers made the long journey to Buryport and won 21-9, keeping their hopes of a title and promotion alive. Aberystwyth went down 44-18 against Gowerton. Whitland just edged out 9-12 at home to One Eyelid. And Kidwelly winning 18-9 away to Hendy. Like I said earlier, there are no, as it currently stands, Monday, the 19th of February, there are no games for this coming Saturday that concern us. So I'm just going to skip all through any future fixtures. As we go into One West Central now, Brynaman losing 39-18 away to Skewen. Into Two West, St Clair's kept their run for the title going, 24-0 away to Am United. As a lot of games in Carmarthen this week, Carmarthen Athletic against Croes was postponed. Not a total scalp, but a massive performance. Fishguard 6, Lampeter 6.
Ooh.
So anyone who's been following 2 West will know the Lampeter have been right up there this season. And, Fishguard, Milford, they're pulling out results. These boys get some consistency and they're going to be hard to deal with. So then we go into Milford. They lost 8-15 at home to Mumbles. Temby just scraping through 13-8 away to Nancaredig. And the last game, Lycha winning 21-10 in Pontyberem. So quite a few results there that we weren't quite expecting. 3 West A, Halford West and Aberaeron was postponed. Neyland won 15-8 away to Llanybydr. Pembroke Dock Quins went down 12-38 at home to Cardigan. And St David's won 31-24 at home to Pembroke. 3 West B, there was only 2 games that actually managed to play. Betos winning 10-3 at home to Llangadog. And Kev Nathan winning 30 points to 17 against Who's New Dock Stars. Oh, no.
What? New Dock lost?
Yeah, they're on a bit of a downward spiral. I don't know what you've done, Bet.
Sack the board.
Sack the board. Phil Johnson, they're coming for you. The other 3 games that were meant to happen, Llandyfi Binia, Llandailo Trimsaran and Tambol Tregaron were all postponed. The quarterfinal in the Division 3 Cup between Larne and Bryn Cethyn was postponed. We're not too sure when that game is going to be rearranged to. I believe Larne have I think it's the West Wales Plate or District Cup match this Friday come in. Into Division 5 West Central, Pontiates won 15-14 away to Cumbrach. So that's another big win for them. They've after I tipped them for the title, they let me down massively, but they've been picking up lately, and it's always good to get a win away from home. And then Panderfunnan going down 14-15 at home to Rickos. So that was another disappointment one for Panderfunnan. We go now into the Youth Cup results from the weekend. Let me see. Quite a lot of them were postponed. So
Why? Because of the weather?
Yeah, a lot of them flooded pitches.
Oh.
Look, Carmarthen, I may as well start in Carmarthen. I'll go with the Youth Plate. I'll mix it up a little bit. Both Carmarthen Athletic and Carmarthen Quins had played quarter-final matches. Both of them postponed. The only match that did go ahead in the play quarter-final was Bontlands losing 15-34 at home to Llandaff. Dropped down into the bowl now in a nice different order. Kidwelly lost 38-14 away to Cwmbran. Rill won 14-5 at home to Cardiff Quins. The other 2 games were postponed. And into the Cup now, where every single game went ahead, which was rather surprising. Caerphilly went down 14-21 at home to Penlan and Dunvant. Gosainen won 14-7 at home to Pontypool United. In the All-West clash, Llandailo won 27-13 away to Lampeter. So congratulations to Llandailo and hope you do well in the semi-finals. And the final game, Ton Mawr won 22-15 away to Merthyr. And like I've already said, no senior games at all this weekend as far as it stands. Some of those Youth Cup quarterfinals, bowl, plate will probably be replayed this weekend. Just waiting for confirmation on those sorts of things. So now that that's out of the way, so have you got any magic numbers from the game this week, Bet?
Oh, but first we need to talk about the Thunder.
Oh, you want to do Thunder first? All right.
Yeah, Thunder first.
Thunder first. So the last game, they won at home against Glasgow. Yep. How did they do in this game?
They won away against Glasgow.
Hey!
24 points to 17. Didn't get to watch it again. All of the rugby is all on at the same time at the moment. And if it was on Viaplay or... Actually, no, to be fair, this one was on the BBC, I think. It was on iPlayer.
Scottish teams.
Scottish teams. Okay, my bad. I should have watched it. I apologise. But yeah, 2 wins in 2 games for the Thunder. Our next game will be against Lightning, Gwalior.
Yes. But it's interesting how
they've split
it now.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as a table stands, Gwalior have got a game in hand, but there's only 1 point between Gwalior and Brython. So I'm hoping in some dark corner the Glasgow managed to pull it out in the next round, and we go into this final Brython v Gwalior game at the park with everything to play for. it'd be an awesome and a fitting end to this first season as clubs, essentially, in the Celtic Challenge.
And has the Wales Women's Six Nations squad been announced? The wider training squad has been announced, hasn't it?
Yeah, the wider training squad, I think we had about 10 women, 10 ladies from Brython Thunder go up. So that's massive in itself, for a team that's literally been around for 2-3 months, and to have 10 internationals right off the back. You can't go wrong. Yeah. I'm happy with this. I'm happy to see how it progresses, and I'm looking forward to next season before this one's over.
Yeah, me too. Really I hope we don't have to wait a whole year for the next season. I hope it starts in I don't know, September or something, or if not earlier, because Super Series in Scotland, they do 2 leagues a year. So
yeah. Well, I'd hope they'd probably do. They're probably going to go with a summer one. I would hope.
That'd be good.
Just because of the way girls rugby works here, they start training in February and they finish around November time. But that's like minis now. The ladies follow the same as the men, September to April, May. But I'm hoping that they get the calendar right on that one and actually give us a fighting chance when it comes to the World Cup.
Yeah. God, yeah. Speaking of calendar, we'll come to calendar later. Right. Magic. Shall I do magic numbers now? No, let's do news next. I'm going to save my magic numbers because they're all game related. Normally, my magic numbers are random, but this one's actually related to the game.
Okay. I'll take that.
So news is 2 players have been called up to international duty. Firstly, Alex Craigie has finally been called up by Scotland. What took him so long?
There's no surprises there, really. They must have been scratching their heads. We don't want a boy that's not in the country. We might have to give him back, because by all rights he should be available for the Connacht game. But knowing how the relationship tends to work with us both ways, we'll probably end up leaving him up there unless they say, we're not going to play him, which I can't see why they wouldn't.
Well, if he scores a hat-trick against England, we'll let him off.
Do you think he's going to get on in at match day 23 then for England?
Well, otherwise he's been called up to hold tackle bags, hasn't he? So
that's what we're used to, though, normally, aren't we, at this time of the season?
I don't know. I hope so. Look, he should have been in the Scotland squad from day one. It was a bit of an outrage that he wasn't. So I'm just glad that he's there now. Congratulations, Alex. We're big fans of you on this pod.
And 100% going on the summer tour wherever you are.
Yes. And then the other player called up, Harry O'Connor. Tight head, started at the weekend. He played for Wales against the Barbarians in the autumn. It was a bit of a last-minute call-up for them then. But he's in again, and we're delighted. So Gatland had said that he wanted a mobile pack, and Harry O'Connor is very much a mobile tight head. He is, I think, in the 61st percentile for defenders beaten, I think, for tight heads in the URC. So that's not bad. And then I can't remember his other stat. He's good. He's really good at offloads as well. He's got more offloads than most tight heads as well.
Oh, there we go.
As you would expect from a Scarlet.
Yeah, it just as it is. It's what we do. No, you would have heard me all season, and if you listened last year, I thought Harry was coming on a lot last season, and he had a few injuries which kind of bumped him down a bit, but he's picking back up, and he's getting starts again, which is obviously what you need as a young player, especially in the front row. You learn so much from just playing. Analysis only gets you so far when you're taking 800 kilo pressure on your neck and shoulders. There's only so much you can learn in the classroom, as they say. But no, a lot of people were, from what I've seen, have been quite shocked because Gatland didn't go to the Ospreys for one of their tight heads. But
you mean the South African ones?
Yeah.
Funny that.
I know. But from all what I can tell you, from what I know of Harry O'Connor and how he plays, this is his 3rd time in a Wales camp. He was picked by Pivac for the South Africa to a late call-up, same as Sam Wainwright was at that time. Obviously, he was with the Barbarians more recently in November. He's a strong scrummager. He can anchor the scrum. If you've heard me talk about him on here before, you know what I'm going to say. He's got superb body shape and technique going into the scrum, and he does hold it a lot better than most players that we've had. As far as I'm concerned, if people look at the comparisons with him and Sam Wainwright, I would say Sam Wainwright's strength is more tackling and carrying, where Harry has got that, that bit of technical ability with his offloads and his step in the defenders. But scrum is his bread and butter, and he's progressing really nicely with that. And I expect him to be a mainstay in the years to come.
Yeah, best of luck, Harry. We're delighted for you.
Come on, Harry. All at Dorchester are behind you.
Yes. Okay, and then into the next bit of news, which came out today. There's been so much news today. It's been hard to keep up.
I know. It's unreal. We never get this much news.
Yeah, so trying to get it all out in one. But there has been changes afoot in the coaching staff. So, Scarlets have put out a statement today, as they like to do. They semaphored it. They put it on a carrier pigeon. They did some flags, and then eventually they got around to putting it on the internet. And there has been a reshuffle. So, Dwayne Peel is now going to take over being the lead attack coach. Jared Payne is going to be taking over being the lead defense coach, which is the job that he did prior to coming to the Scarlets. He is also going to be still doing attack coaching and backs coaching. I don't know many clubs where the backs coach is also the defense coach. Okay.
It's awkward.
Yeah, so I'll carry on and then we'll discuss it later. So Albert Vandenberg and Emir Phillips are both carrying on in their forwards and scrum/contact skills roles, respectively. And Gareth Williams is no longer going to be working with the first team. He has been offered a role with the academy and junior sides, and he is yet to accept that role.
Yeah. So unlike what the BBC have produced today, he has not been sacked. The big headline, Scarlett sack Gareth Williams. He hasn't been sacked. He's been taken off of defensive duties, and they're looking at putting him somewhere else. Mainly because, as a lot of people would probably agree with, Jared Payne is the superior defensive coach, and defense has been a bit of an issue for us this season. So I can understand the thinking there. So
the comments that we've had, because we asked for people's comments on socials about this, and the comments that we've had have all been pretty much the same, which is it's the same people. Yes, it's a change, but it's all the same people sharing the same ideas. There's no new ideas coming in. Do you think that's fair? Do you think this is going to result in a significant change, or do you think it's,
I think we saw not significant, but a slight change in our mindset in defence against Munster, because we seemed a lot more switched on for, what was it, about 60, 65 minutes, barring our try-line defence, from the 5-metre taps. We were pretty impressive compared to what we have been seeing this season. So if Jared has only been in the role since last Monday, which the statement suggests, then I'd say this could be a massive change for us. If he's done that in 4 days, well, actually 3 days, because the Thursday would have been the captain's run and he wouldn't have done nothing on the Friday.
Yeah.
Then that's outstanding. I'd be very much happy to, well, we haven't got a choice, but I'm happy to see how this unfolds. The fact with him still carrying on as an assistant with the attack and the backs, that is a strange one for me. But I think it's all going to come down to what Jared wants. So I'm assuming this means he still wants to keep the attack coach role. So I believe that means we're going to be looking for a new defense coach in the summer and now, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, same. So we think the reason that we're talking about the Munster game is we think that this has been in place for a couple of weeks, maybe, and it's only just been announced now. Yeah, you'd have to say that a change was needed. We'll just see, because it does feel like a compromise, and it does feel like they're down a coach. I think that Albert Vandenberg has been getting a lot of the stick that perhaps Emir Phillips maybe should have been getting, because a lot of people think that Vandenberg is the scrum coach and he isn't. To be honest, with the descriptions of the roles, with Emir Phillips being the scrum coach and the contact coach, does that mean Vandenberg is just doing lineouts? Or is there bits of it that I just don't know about?
No, I mean, as far as, well, my train of thought was always he's here as a forwards coach generally that means you take on the set piece as well. You take on the line out and you take on the scrum. And Emir is the scrum, as he's taken over from, what was his name, the New Zealand Rob Franks
Yeah.
from last season. So I'm assuming that means that Albert is forwards and line out, but they just haven't said line out because you don't generally just state that when you say you're a forwards coach.
Yeah. So if he's not coaching contacts and he's not coaching scrums, to me that just leaves line out for him to do.
I think by contact they mean, the skills coaching, essentially, the basics that you get with the academy. But
Yeah.
that is what it is. So do we want to talk about the game?
Yeah, I mean, let's hear what other people have been saying first. So we asked for your 3-word reactions. I'm going to start with Facebook first. So David said defense coach walk. Well, he has, or he's been pushed. He also said no front five. Gareth Williams said try was good. I agree. Try was good. We like Gareth. Richard Morgan.
Was that Gareth Williams, our former defense coach?
His photo appears to be of a lady. If he's a lady, you're very welcome. James Nicholas Rogers left a very long comment, so he's excluded for not being 3 words. Kev Griffiths says not clinical enough. Phil says another 40 plus points. I mean, can't argue. James Ray says fitness, fitness, fitness. We'll come on to that a bit later. He also left a much longer comment, which we're not reading out because of rules. Phil says too many mistakes. Warren Thomas says basics badly wrong. That's it. Andrew says turned a corner, question mark, exclamation mark.
Yeah, it's not bad. You can
Tristan
that.
Williams says peel out, please. Don't know what he's referring to there. Then if we get on to Twitter, we had Cy Williams, the author of Welsh Rugby, What Went Wrong.
Special guest on the Welsh language pod this week. Keep your ears up for that one.
Yes. Make it stop. Oh, come on, Cy. Someone called Rugby Stat and Cat said Joe plus Eddie equals good, making good use of mathematical symbols in place of words.
Rugby Stat and Cat. I think that's run by someone called Thistle, isn't it?
It is. That's true. Now, I have to be careful going down from here because on Twitter, we get a lot of interaction from Ospreys and Cardiff fans. So there's 2 or 3 Ospreys and Cardiff fans who are in our comments for everything that we post. So it's good to know that you care about us, lads. So I'm going to skip on past a couple here. Karen says, what's gone wrong? I think we're a bit late for that one, Karen. Paul says, 4-word comment, so he's missed.
Oh, so close.
Is a word. Welsh Club Rugby says not good enough. Mike says, we're Fatty's leg.
What? Where's Fatty's leg?
No, we are. We're, as in we are, Fatty's. Yeah. So it's someone called Fatty because it's possessive apostrophe. Fatty's leg. And Fatty's leg is capitalized. Wise words indeed. Rob says fitness coach needed. Ben says subbing lousy mistake. We'll come on to that in a bit. Daffyd says same old story. Tom says start Wyn Jones. Not sure about that. And Ben Ford says lack in depth. So that's what the people thought. Let's just say it wasn't positive.
Yeah.
Speaking of fitness, so my magic numbers then. So you might think that because of how the scoreline ended, we missed a lot of tackles in this game. Au contraire. So Matthias got 15 out of 15. Swartz, I think, hang on a minute. No, I'm reading from the wrong place. Try that again. Wainwright, when he came on, got 7 out of 8. Leatherbarrow got 9 out of 10. Dan Davis got 17 out of 17.
Woohoo, Dan!
Veer Fafita got 11 out of 14. Jared Taylor, who we'll talk about in a minute, got 9 out of 10. Lousy got 14 out of 14. Craig got 16 out of 16. O'Connor got 7 out of 10. Swart got 15 out of 15. I don't have Matthias's. But then if I go to the backs, Tommy Lewis got 10 out of 13. Archie Hughes got 9 out of 9. Joe Roberts got 9 out of 10. Eddie James got 8 out of 9. Nicholas got 8 out of 11. So there was a lot of tackling that went on. A lot of tackling. So
I mean, near enough 200 tackles in that game.
And if you look at the territory maps, Munster had 42% of their possession in our 22. Not in our half, in our 22. So basically, what's happened is they've gone at us, they've gone at us, they've got at us. We've been knackered from tackling them all day long, and that's why we fell apart in the last 20. That's my
The
assessment of that
floodgates
game.
opened, essentially.
So, two problems for me. Firstly, why are we gifting a team that much territory in our 22? Because we did gift it to them with
Yeah.
penalties. Like in the first half where we had that shambolic line out where they lifted a guy.
Oh, Craig sort of rolled over himself, didn't he? He
Yeah.
just didn't look right.
And then there was a scrum from that, and then penalty from the scrum, and then they kicked to a line out, and then there's a penalty from the line out, and then they kicked to touch, and they'd gone 90 meters without having to do anything. We just give them 90 meters for free, and then they drove over and scored a try. It kills you. It absolutely kills you, that kind of thing. But having said that, our fitness has been a problem all season, and it's not
Yeah.
getting any better, is it?
We can go back to the second pod of the actual season after the Stormers game because you went on a bit of a deep dive on Shane Carney and you came back with some comments from former Ulster fans. And it still rings in my head. You said something like, all I can remember is being out on our feet in Cape Town and the Stormers running in tries for fun. And if someone goes back and listens to that and I've quoted that right, I'm a very happy man. But no, it's a problem we've seen all season. And yeah, against any team, if their fitness is actually up to it, that last 10, 15, 20 is going to punish you. There's no ways around it. And if you go into the last 7, 8 minutes with only 14 men because your substitutions went all wrong, that just makes things even
Is
worse.
that what happened? Were we down to 14?
When Leather Barrow went off, we had no one who
Why
could
did
have
he
played
go
it.
off?
I have no idea. I really don't. I'm assuming it was HIA or something
Hmm.
because there's no other reason that he would
But
come
there was no
off.
doctor with him. He just ran off on his own.
Yeah, someone called him off, so I really don't understand what happened
Because
there.
oh, I've gone blank. The New Dock Star player.
Harry Thomas,
Yeah. So he came on, but he came on in the back row.
a hooker on his very first professional game, came on in the back row. And he gave it a good shout. His first scrum, his head was up and he was bouncing around looking. He fit in right at home there. Fair play to the
He was
boy.
thinking, well, this is well easier.
But
Yeah,
no,
but to be fair, the guy who was playing hooker played full 80, Swart. Fair play to him for the effort. He did not have a very good game.
no, I'll be honest, he looked like a terrified toddler every time the camera panned to him, especially at the line out. He just looked as though he wanted to break into tears. I don't know if that's his normal face, but that's what I saw.
Yeah, I think he conceded 5 of our 15 or 17 turnovers on his own.
I mean,
I'm not hammering the guy, but he had a bad day at the office.
no, he's still a young guy. Like
Hmm.
I think he's about 24.
Hmm.
So in terms of front row rugby, that's pretty young, which puts into more
Hmm.
perspective how young Harry Thomas is, still 18. But no, we know Swart is only here on a short-term deal till the end of the season, and the supposed hooker that we've got lined up to come in has just been called into the South Africa wider training squad. So I don't know how that's
Not
going to
good.
go.
I don't
You know,
think he's going to come here. Oh no, it's because South Africans are allowed to leave South Africa. They don't have to stay.
yeah,
But you'd
I
be
know it's the same
surprised
league.
if he's going to the Scarlets right now. I mean, we'll have you. Welcome. But
Well, yeah, he had a couple. Did he have a couple of games with Swansea? When he went there on loan from the Cheetahs.
he did, yes.
He did. So there we go. He's already played in the league. He's already accustomed to Wales as such. He'll enjoy it a lot more once he crosses the Lacca and realizes the sun does shine. But that was actually really promising news. Like I can remember when Stefan Thomas done his write up, and he's like, "Oh, this exciting prospect is what you tag every single player that's come into Wales from wherever."
It's always
And
highly rated. I always think,
highly
imagine he
rated.
wasn't
That's
highly
the
rated. Because Scarlets are signing this player, but everyone reckons he's a bit shit. Like, they're never going to write that, are they?
I don't know. It's the Western Mail. But no,
Yeah.
this boy coming in might turn out to be a bit of a golden tooth. So I am hoping for more there. But if we go back to the fitness aspect, we made some very odd substitutions
We did.
and time-ins in this game. The first two were Jared Taylor and Harry O'Connor coming off at halftime.
Jared
Harry,
Taylor in particular, a very strange substitution.
yeah. I mean, Harry, if Wales have been involved, which I'm assuming they may have been, and said we don't want him playing a full match, then I can kind of
But
understand it.
Matthias played 60.
No, I know, and that's gonna come on to Joe Roberts now, but I can kind of understand it if that was the reasoning.
Hmm.
Uh, People give O'Connor a bit of criticism because of the penalties that went against him, but I'm going to challenge everybody to rewatch just the scrums on that game and just his side, because you will see Lochman every single time his elbow is pointing down.
Yep.
Your elbow needs to be up. He is pulling Harry O'Connor down, and he's doing a tremendous job just to keep that scrum up. And that is the work and why he's been selected for Wales now to go into the squad, not just the whole tackle bags, we hope. But yeah, bringing Jared off at 40 minutes, I really don't understand it. He was having a pretty good game.
He was probably our best player of the first half. Yet again, the player that spent the least amount of time in training with the Scarlets looks like the best player. We've said that before.
I don't know, too many times now. But made a good few turnovers. Like you said, his tackle stats are pretty up there.
Mm.
So he
Yeah,
didn't
no,
look tired either, which is the
2
main.
turnovers. Yeah. Makes me
If
think he must have been injured.
I know.
Because why it goes back to the selection. Why start him then if you're going to take him off in 40 minutes? It just makes a mockery of the selection.
And then we can go on further after them when we had Sam Lousy taken off. He didn't look happy with that.
No, but both Fafita and Lousy, if you remember what they were like at the end of last season, I don't know whether it's new coaches who come in and they've got their own bright ideas. I would strongly encourage Jared Payne or whoever it is to watch highlights of us towards the end of last season. Who was in the middle of everything good that we did? Lousy and Fafita. Lousy got no carries.
What?
According to Rugby Pass, whose stats also say that Eddie James only had 1 carry, so that's definitely wrong. But
I think it's how they define a carry.
according to Rugby Pass, Lousy had no carries.
That can't be right.
Lousy had no carries according to Rugby Pass.
That just doesn't natural.
And Tommy Lewis as well. He had 5 carries, but he was doing more defending than he was attacking. Yeah. Why aren't we devising plays to get our best players into the game? Again, it comes back to us not having set plays, that we're looking to get these players on the ball doing what they can. Like, Lousy's a better offloader than most second rows, and RG Sneeman was chucking offloads left, right, and centre. Lousy can do that, but we just didn't give him the ball to do it. And what did you make of Dan Jones's performance? Obviously, it's his first game of the season, 150th cap. Congratulations to him. What do you make of that selection in hindsight?
First competitive game. He did have that run out against Exeter.
True.
We spoke about this last week and the week before where the Exeter game was concerned. And was it Cowlan? He said it exactly the same. 10s need minutes in the seat. They need to be playing regular to get up to this standard. Yes, there are some players that don't need to play and come back straight from injury and be amazing, blah, blah, blah. Not everyone is like that, especially at 10. So to not pick Titcombe when we know what he's done for us when he has been on the pitch.
He's earned a spot in the starting team.
He has. He's more than earned it. So that was rather bewildering. And Dinky, he didn't cover himself in glory. He didn't do a great deal wrong, but he didn't do a great deal right either. So, well done for 350th. You've been a great servant to the club. My kids went to model school, same as you. Love seeing your photo with your Welsh under-20s cap. But, we can't be selecting him to start if Titcombe is fit. He needs to be given that opportunity.
And Titcombe had an immediate impact when he came on. We immediately had more shape. I know he made a couple of mistakes. He got charged down and he threw a pass to no one, but it was one of those passes to no one where if it goes to hand, it could have been a line break. So
yeah. We know what Titcombe offers. We've seen him only a handful of times. We've seen him against Leinster at the start. We've seen him in one of the Quins games against Pontypool. We've seen some highlights from the earlier Quins games in the season where he was on the winning side. The only man to win, well, 100% winning record with the Quins, I believe.
Yeah.
this season. So we know what he can do, and he's tactical kicker, I believe, is what he is, because his Gary Owens, his spiral bombs to die for. I absolutely love them.
Maybe that's
So
it. Because obviously we hate kicking as a team, and Dwayne's gone, well, he kicks, so he's not starting. Like,
I hope that's not the reason.
well, I can't think what reason it is. Is it just he's too young, too inexperienced? Well, we've had Ben Williams and Teddy Leatherbauer in the team for half the season. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it at this point. And this is what we're saying, And when you look, because we had this chat with Lee in the group chat, when you looked at that starting 15, and me and you were like, I don't know about this, and Lee's going, it's a good team, that. I'm like, yeah, it is a good team. But it's just the consistency in selection just isn't there, and the logic in selection just isn't there.
The logic is the big one. And we go to another substitution. Yes, Evan Jones had a really good game when he came on, but Archie Hughes was on fire. That boy could have played in the back row and he wouldn't have looked out of place in that game. He was tackling everything. And
Nine
I'm
out of nine,
struggling to find
one
things that
dominant
he.
hit.
Yeah, that was against the 8 as well, against Coombs, I believe. So I'm struggling to find what he did wrong to deserve coming off at that time in the game. Could argue we needed to switch things up, but it was only 14-0 at that time, so still quite early on.
Yeah, that's the mad thing about this game is it was 14-7 on the hour mark.
It is okay.
But to say that Munster's substitutions had the opposite effect. Munster's substitutions, they kicked into top gear and they just started running. Murray and Carberry had an absolute armchair ride in the final quarter. And I was speaking to Kalen during the game, and even he was like, "Oh, I'm surprised at how much of an impact our subs have had here. Really stepped it up." All right, come on, we put it off long enough. Okay,
All right,
the
Joe
centres.
Roberts.
But well, let's do Joe Roberts first, but Eddie James equally deserving of praise. Joe Roberts. So we do on Twitter our little graphics after the games for who was the best performer. I mocked up the Joe Roberts graphic before we put it out because I knew he's going to be the best player, Scarlets player on the pitch, and he was. I was speaking to Vuyo Zankwa, who used to play for the Blitzbox, by the way, and he was saying to me, "Your 13's good. Why is he not in the Welsh team and ahead of George North?" And I'm like, yeah. So I think George North is in there for experience and his partnership with Tompkins and for the lack of ball carriers that Wales have at the moment. I think if there was a different 12, like a Max Llewellyn or a Joe Roberts or someone like that playing for Wales at the
Or
moment,
Eddie James.
or an Eddie James, I think Joe Roberts would be in. Joe
Yeah.
Roberts he's in the form of his life. He had no right to score that try. Every touch that he had in this game was class.
No, you literally said to yourself, you made that graphic. You even went back to watch that game over, and you couldn't find an error that Joe Roberts made, which just it stands out with what we've been saying for the last 2-3 years. Since even before he had his last big injury, because he's had two big leg injuries. And he's only 23, 24 years old. So you put that into context, and he's still rapid. A slow man would not have made that try.
Yeah, left
So
Munster for
it
dead.
was a lovely strike move, first phase ball.
Triggered by Tipkin.
What we as Scarlets like to see, but we don't see anything like that in normal phase play. But less about that. From what Joe Roberts was on fire, fair play. He's been probably our strongest player consistently throughout the whole season. And as much as he deserves to be wearing that Welsh 13 shirt as well, I'm glad he's not, because he gets sent home to us. Imagine what that would have looked like if we didn't have Joe Roberts.
Yeah, and Nicholas probably, or Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so Joe Roberts, he can't perform any better at club level. So
well, the only thing he could do is wear one of them muscle suits and then put his shirt on top. I think Gatland would pick him then.
Yeah. But let's talk about his centre partner, Eddie James. So this is Eddie James' 5th start of the season, 4th starts in the URC. What a player this guy is.
I'm stumped when I'm thinking of Eddie James. because he has no right to be as good as he is or where he is even now. I know I've said previously, and I think I've said it last week, he was playing as a 10 for the
He
second
was.
string
He does.
side.
He doesn't. He stands in at first receiver. He calls backs moves. He organizes shape. He is. He is. He's like another 10 on the pitch. And you think, oh, he's a 6'4" inside centre. I know what he's going to be about. He's not about that. He's not that at all.
He's a very deceptive player, which we saw for that try. The little clockwork of his arms, pop it straight into Robert's breadbasket, and off he went. And he has moments like that quite regularly. Obviously, they don't always lead to line breaks and tries, but he puts people into space, and he's got that physical aspect of him
He can
where
carry
he
if he
can
wants to.
crash through. So it holds defenders, which obviously makes that space more widely available. And they are both exceedingly young boys as centres. Like
Eddie's 21.
21, is he?
I think so. I think I looked it up for a
Yeah.
previous pod, unless he's had a
Yeah,
birthday
I've
since.
got 21. He'll be 22 in August. And Joe Roberts is 23. So we've got a 21 and 23-year-old who, by right, one should be starting Wales centre, 100% our starting centre. And Eddie James, who, quite frankly, I think he deserves the 12 shirt now over even Johnny Williams.
We should be sitting here now going, oh, we need Johnny Williams back. With having a 21-year-old inside centre, we should be saying, oh, can't wait for Johnny Williams to get back.
You
But we're
know,
actually saying,
I'm thinking,
Johnny, take a seat, son.
yeah, I'm thinking, being a Scarlet about 12 years ago, and another 21-year-old centre doing something absolutely amazing against England. So we do produce some good 12s here and there, and Eddie James seems to be very much in that mould, as Scott Williams was. He's very good with his hands. He can crash ball, and he's got a boot on him too. So that always makes it even better.
He can put in a lovely grubber if and when he chooses. But yeah, it's just, and the way that they play together as well, there's something clicking there. There's a spark between them.
I'm assuming that they had a couple of years in the senior academy together, and I'm hoping that someone down there thought, well, hang on, these boys are similar age. They've both got very high ceilings. They're probably going to be together for a bit. Let's put them together now, see how they go. And I think that may have happened because you can see there's already a partnership there. And I'm just hoping that we get to see a lot more of it instead of the usual, yeah, you played a great game, you deserve a rest.
Yeah.
Which is what we normally get from Dwayne.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I'm proud of the boys for the first 60, 65 minutes. They wore their heart on the sleeve. They worked their asses off. But the substitutions, bloody hell, they killed us. And I still can't wrap my head around them. Jared, Archie, Sam, even Joe Roberts going off, which I am thinking is part of the Wales deal because they went back.
Yeah.
So if you know you've got to replace Joe Roberts at 13, why have you got Steph Evans on the bench to come on for him? He's not a 13. Even if Steph Evans came on and you shifted Joe and Nicholas inside, I can understand that. But why are we trying to make Steph into a 13? He had a couple of run-outs last season. He looked okay, but he doesn't have the pace or the defensive mindset to be that player at this stage of his career. So I
didn't even realize that we'd gone down to 14, I still can't figure that out.
Commentators are saying it. That's the only reason I know.
Then why take the barrow off?
Because when we were on our own try line defending a scrum, we only had two flankers on each side. And they're saying, oh, is Harry Thomas going to go in at 8 now? But no, it was such an odd moment. When do you ever go down to 14 men off your own bloody choice?
Lashley could have come back on, surely.
I can't remember seeing anyone come back on. I mean, they might have. I'll hold my hands up in the air and say they might have come back on, but I didn't see anyone.
Didn't see anybody. Crazy. So you mentioned him very briefly that Johan Nicholas, another solid game. He well deserves to be in the 23 moving forward. Into absolutely everything. His stats, he's one of the 2 players in my grid system for my stats. He's got a number in every grid, which is always a good sign. And it was good to see Johnny McNichol back as well.
Oh, yeah. He makes a difference. He even just emotionally, that psychological effect that he has been on that pitch.
Yeah, we'll be doing a video of his break at some point during the week as well. I think he beat more defenders in that break than the Ospreys beat in their whole game at the weekend.
They didn't need to beat anyone. They had someone to kick a ball. That's all.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But no.
Anyway, so after the game, Peel came out and started talking about patience and taking the pain now and things. You had a bit of a reaction to that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I couldn't help myself in that moment. I probably should have held myself a bit more back. But no, I'm kind of fed up now. You're 2.5, 3 years into a project, and you're saying we need patience now. Patience was the first 12, 18 months. And yes, we did see encouraging signs, last year at the start, January through to the May, we saw some encouraging signs. But then we went straight back down to step one. And I'm kind of fed up, if I'm honest. We spoke midweek, not midweek, we spoke during the game about how the defensive structure looks different, about how it seems as though these boys are actually playing a bit more, and that's obvious to see. And so we've made a change there. They've identified there was something going wrong, and they've made a change. They've had 2.5, 3 years now with Peel, apparently rewarded him with a new 3-year contract. I don't know if it's a 3-year extension from the end of this season or whatever the actual details are of that. They won't come out and say it. We did ask John Daniels back in our little interview with him. That didn't go down as well as we'd hoped. He did not give an answer. But I don't understand what's going on there. I mean, we've got coaches who are either not up to the task or just not pulling their finger out. Like we've already mentioned our conditioning coach, who's had this sort of reputation follow him. We've spoke about our old defence coach, who's now been removed from post, still on the payroll, but removed from post, and a head coach that is asking for patience when he's had long enough. I can firmly say that this is now a Dwayne Peel side.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Is you can't say he's not been backed. You can't say that the board haven't backed him. They've come out and verbally said, no, he's our guy. They've let him bring in the assistant coaches that he wants, and they've given him a ton of new players. For all of the oh, we haven't got any money. We've made multiple in-season signings from abroad, non-Welsh qualified players.
We haven't gone to Dan Thomas like we have previously. When Jared Taylor popped up, I was thinking, surprised we didn't go for Dan today. We've done it before. But no, that's the sign of the future that I'm hoping for, that we're actually picking up good players, and Jared does look a good player.
Yeah.
So no, I'm fed up. I really am fed up the way the game's going.
I mean, we've been the positive podcast recently, and there are things that are better, and we have been positive about like the centres and things, and we've obviously got players who we're big fans of. And by the way, I didn't mention Dan Davis had an excellent game as well. His stats were fantastic across the board as well. But there's just the problems that still remain: fitness and lack of a kicking game. They've been there all season. Like, how much time do you need? And the things like wasting games, like wasting the Exeter game and wasting preseason games, and the no logic and the inconsistency in selection, like creating more churn in the starting 15 than there needs to be, not rewarding players who play well with keeping their places. These are the issues that we have spoken about since the first podcast of the season, and they've not changed.
Yeah, we're not talking about Archie Hughes having a good game and then Faf de Klerk coming in the week after. This is not someone who is guaranteed to play at another level above. These boys have earned their shirt. They've worn it with pride. They've done everyone proud. They've done their club. They've done their county. They've done their region proud. And then they just pushed to the side, which baffles me. It's my favourite word now, talking about Peel selection, baffle. But no, we go back to pre-season, and yes, we can understand you want to give everybody a run out. There's no limit on substitutions. Your first game, have a run, give everyone a go. and then even into your second game, maybe pick 2 15s, half and a half, or however you want to do it. But you need to have 2 or 3 games with a consistent 25, 27 players that are going to be playing your league games to get them ready. And not only did we not do that, we didn't have enough games to do that. 3 friendlies does not make a pre-season. Same as this game against Exeter. We've had 4 weeks without a game up to the Munster match. What are we doing? Do we think these boys can just pick up off the floor and run at 100 miles an hour? It doesn't work that way. People need to stay match fit. And it seems to be a massive, massive inconvenience for them to think about that. Even if it was a case of giving the Ospreys or Cardiff or the Dragons a ring and saying, look, how about this Thursday or this Friday? You come to us, we go to you. We have a
They didn't play in the off week.
Yeah, we can have a proper, if we don't want an 80-minute, fine, we'll have a proper 60-minute match, 30 each way, and we'll go leather and tongs at each other just to keep ourselves match fit. And there'd be no harm, no foul done, and it would probably improve our match fitness, no doubt. But obviously avoid us being in a position where we have players literally hobbling around, stretching with cramp in the 70+ minutes, and not just one player, multiple players.
Yeah, something that Peel has alluded to. Oh, we're getting injuries because we're tired. No, we're getting injuries because we're not fit. The boys aren't tired. They're not tired because they're not getting picked every week. They're getting regular rests. The only players that are getting picked every week is Alex Craig and Ewan Lloyd. They're the only players that get picked every week.
I don't know what to say
So just
anymore.
a final stat for you, just on the selection thing. So apart from when we were in South Africa, our fewest selections that we've made, our fewest 15 game changes that we've made was in the Cardiff away game, which was our biggest win of the season. Yes, okay, it was playing against 14 men. But we made 3 first 15 changes for that game. And then since we've been back from South Africa, our next lowest is Claremont away.
I can double back on you on that Cardiff game, and we only made 2 15 changes because Johnny Williams switched from 12 to 13, and that would be the third. So only 2 new boys came into that 15.
Yeah. So there you go. And then, but the week after that, away to Castro, we made 11 changes, and we got thumped. Like, I mean, apart from the Claremont game and the Cardiff game, the lowest number of changes that we've made to the starting 15 has been 6.
7 or 6. It was a lucky guess.
We've made like our last 5 games. Where are we? 8 changes, 4 for Claremont, 9 changes, 10 changes.
Yeah, there's no logic there.
The Ospreys, by comparison, they made 7 changes the most recent game. That's still less than in all but one of our games. And then before that, it's 4 changes, 3 changes, 2 changes.
The key to a winning side is consistency. You pick your core squad. You know what I mean? Obviously, we know the squad numbers are different now this season. They said we don't have the numbers. But as far as I'm concerned, when you're breaking down that squad, you've got 35 who should be your main squad. This is your match day squad that you pick from. 28, 30 of them. That's all you should really be moving around all season unless someone gets injured. You shouldn't want to be using more players unless you're doing like designated rests, which we have done. We saw it against the Leinster game where we made wholesale changes and then reverted straight back. But there's no reason for the amount of changes that we're seeing, and not even the injuries can back that up. It's same as Archie having a really good game, this first start in the shirt, which was Claremont, and then Hardy coming in the week after. And, Archie wasn't even on the bench. So, I said at the time privately, if I was Archie, I would have felt like someone just kicked me in the teeth. I just had my first time starting in a competitive game at 9. I played really well, and now you're kicking me to the side.
Charlie Titcombe must be feeling that on steroids. Charlie Titcombe's only start has been Leinster away. So
Yeah.
how must he feel? Charlie Sitka must be feeling I've got a coach who's willing to throw me to the wolves, and then when I actually play well, when I'm not supposed to, he doesn't pick me.
Just doesn't make sense. I like you said earlier in the season, we have no kicking game. We don't have a 10 anywhere on in our coaching staff. I don't even think we've got a 10 in our academy staff. So it does beg that belief that okay, we don't want to play with a kicking 10, but we need to. The game is won on territory. It's not one on running the ball out from your 22 every chance you get. Yes, it's pretty. Yes, sometimes it works and it looks awesome. But that's not how games are won. Games are won on territory and possession more than
Yeah,
anything else. And we do not care for either of those.
yeah. You're so right. We don't care about territory, especially at all. Anyway, so we've had a bit of a moan and a whinge there, mate. Is there anything else we need to cover before we get to wrapping it up?
No, I think that's it for this week. We've had a little chat on Brython as we wanted to. No, we're all good. I think we've covered everything.
Okay, mate. All right then. Cheers, everybody.
On on
Uh,
that note, thank you everyone for listening. Goodbye from me and to you, Hugh, and we'll see you all again next week.
cheers.
Bye.